And there we go. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining. And yeah, today we'll finish up chapter 10, only 2 slides left, and start chapter 11. Chapter 11 is the last one of the morphology section, so it's a bit of a grab bag that Neveu is giving us there. He has the negations in there, he has question markers, and he also has some converters in there, which are pretty heavy hitters because you can use those to impart completely different meanings or nuances on sentences. So we're not going to get the whole chapter 11 done today. I think we'll do the negations, and if we have extra time, I've prepared something for the question markers. Let's see how we do. And yeah, any questions before we go into it? Otherwise, I would go straight to our last 2 pages from chapter 10. Okay, doesn't seem like it. Then let's do it. I'll minimize this just so that we have a bit more space. Okay, so among the particles that Neveu had given us, the next one on the list is ja, or sometimes the most expanded spelling is just like an extra e or ye in front of it. So ja, or simply ja, or just the double reed leaf, which would just be a Y. I don't think it lives in Coptic, so I'm not completely sure how the authentic pronunciation would have been. It has 2 use cases. One is to reinforce a question. So in the next session, we'll have the question word ich lives on as ash in Coptic. It means what? And you can use that for, well, a lot of questions. And in combination with ja in front of it, it gets a meaning of, like, what is it with this thing that you do? What is it with you not showing up yesterday? What is it with you coming and asking me these questions? Basically, the meaning is why, but it is essentially questioning, like, why are you doing this? So that's a common formation. And here we have one example. Grammatically, not completely simple, but I was thinking if somebody wanted to take that one, try that one, that would be great. So yeah, I'll take volunteers. And I'll try to type in the, I'll try to type in the transliteration. So if anybody wants to do the honors.
I'll give it a try.
All right.
Oops. So we have.
I've made everything here go haywire. Give me a moment. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, sure. Whenever you're ready.
I am. Okay.
So we have ja, ich. Not quite.
Keyboard. Too many keyboards disease. Ja, ich. You got it.
Ich. Paik. Geperu.
I'm going to ignore the U.
Okay, I was not sure. M. Pi S.
Yeah, interesting question.
Right. Oh, yeah, would be an unusual spelling for that. So let's go with pi secher instead, because that is a verb.
That's right.
Bin. Neti. Tuk. Imef, I guess.
That's right.
Imef.
All right, perfect.
Oh, that M in front of the im?
That's a good question. So in classical spelling, it would just be this. Oops. Oh, I can't be in transliteration mode if I do that, but it would basically be this. But in late Egyptian, you often have a double M, often with the M at the beginning, could also be an N. It's basically what becomes imof in Coptic. So I would still transcribe it as like reed leaf M, even though it is literally MJM. I'm just ignoring that because I know where it's going to end up in Coptic. So it's still the good old imof.
doesn't really help me, honestly. It's saying that as if I
okay.
would know that word.
Like for Middle Egyptian, still the good old im.
Right. That's a little more helpful.
Okay.
Okay, so right, so we said we're enforcing a question. So the ja ich is then why is it?
Mhm.
And you have your and oh god, Gepper. Would have to be a noun. Is that appearance?
Yeah, it could be appearance. It could be become as well, to become. It could also be simply to be. So the fundamental meaning of Kreper is to become, to come into being.
Mm.
But you know what? In this case, I would just take it as to be.
Right, but I would expect a noun here after the pike.
Okay.
No?
True. That would make sense. It could be a noun, or it could be one more thing. The noun of a verb would be the nominal
Oh,
form.
infinitive, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an infinitive. Mhm.
Right.
So it is a noun.
So your being.
Mhm.
In this, I know that secher is a verb, but I'm not sure what it means actually. So it looks like a causative.
Not a bad idea.
Cher doesn't help me either. So I'm just going to have to ask.
Okay, that's fine. Let me ask you this though. If I took the you out, and you looked at this in Middle Egyptian, what would that be?
My knowledge of vocab is not that much better in Middle Egyptian, actually.
Okay, no problem. So basically state. It's often translated as plan because that's what Gardner has in his at the beginning of his whole grammar. But that's really kind of a misnomer because more often than not it means state, like state or manner or condition. I wasn't in my state basically means I wasn't completely being myself. I wasn't all what I usually am. You are to me in the secher of a brother means you're to me like a brother. So I think the easiest here would be state.
All right. So in the state, in this bad state, which you are, oh gosh, in it.
That's it. That's it.
Oh, right. So basically, why is it that you're in such a bad state that, you know, just with a lot of reinforcements?
It's really wordy.
Lived in France now for a while. I'm tempted to say a lot of mise en relief. Why is it that you are in this bad state that you are in?
Correct. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So, or literally, what is it with this bad state that you are in it? Which basically means like, well, that's why I put it there. Why are you so messed up? It's the text goes on. Why are you, or what is it with you being in this bad state that you're in that you don't listen to any advice? Actually, that's how the text goes on. But hey,
okay.
Very well done. So if you look at the grammar, this is really literally a what. I like to translate it as like, what's it with your being in blah, blah, blah. It's really just the idiomatic way of how to say it in Egyptian. It sounds a bit clunky in English, if not to say super clunky, but you'll find that in many sentences, and then it's normally empathized with this extra ja or ja at the beginning. Ja, ich. I'm sure you will see a few more of those. And then there's like a mini adverbial sentence in here. Took him off, you are in it. And he took him off, that you are in it. Namely, by secher, that state. That state, and he took him off, that you are in. And Egyptian always forces you to put a resumptive pronoun after the preposition. You can't just do it like in English, the state that you are in. It always has to be the state that you are in it. That's just the way that they do it. Still true for Coptic, by the way. All right. Very well done. So that's one common use of ya, and the other one is to give a reason. This cannot be at the beginning of a sentence, like there would be some sentence before, blah, 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 and then comes ya, meaning essentially because, due to, or since, or whatever, and then basically comes whatever you want to say. This one's a bit tricky. I'm not sure. Does anybody want to take it? Otherwise, I can take that one.
Yeah, I'll try it.
All right.
Right here.
This one has one tricky element.
Okay, so let's see here. So we have Yair, Na Neti, Her Chasset, Dutzen, or Dut, yeah, Dutzen.
Should indicate that there was something before that I left out. Okay, yeah. And that's
is the next one, is that connected, or that's okay, yeah, here we go.
It's
so
connected.
This is Her Dut, Na Neti, Her Kemet.
Perfect. All right. And what do you make out of it sense-wise?
So that here. So we have, so the ya here is being used as because, right?
That's right.
So let's see. So because ir, na. So ir here, is it if? Because if, or is it S4? But if.
It's S4 here, just because.
S4.
I mean, could be either, but let's go with the S4 in this case.
Okay. All right. So because S4, na neti, those which are upon, is that it? Those which are upon, or upon the, or in the foreign land, or upon the, well, see, that's the Egyptian foreign chasset. I don't mean it's foreign land, but or foreign territory, upon the foreign land. Tutsin. You have yours there, but
yeah, that's right.
Sin, I don't know.
I'll give you a quick refresher because we really only covered that like in passing. I think that was like the last slide or something. It's really
the old kingdom.
Yeah. They mean like yours, basically. Like, for example, by Hereditut, this son of yours. And you can also use them in, what kind of sentences are those now? Are those adjectival? So when you have like tutsu, it would be, it is yours. If you had, I guess, sutsu, it would be, it is his, essentially. So that's what's going on here grammatically.
Right, okay. So because as for those who are upon or in your land,
the foreign land.
And khair, and your, or wait, that's tut u, isn't it? Oh no, did I miss the plural strokes?
I think that's just those are just plural strokes.
Okay, tut u. And yours of those who are in Kemet.
You're close. Let me ask you this: for what we just discussed, if you took this puppy here by itself, just Tutzen, what would you make out of that?
Tutzen. It just yours. I mean,
almost, but that would be just tut. So Tutzen is actually a sentence.
Oh, they are yours, or?
You got it. That's right. So then let's look at the first half again. The first half is ja in na enti gergaset tutzen.
So they are yours. So, and they are yours. Not they. I want to put the they in there. And they. And yours. Ooh, this is killing me. So you said to look at.
Yeah, I can help you. Hang on. Ignore the first part, ignore what comes after. So you already have this. You have Tutsen, they are yours. Of course, the
They're
question is, who
yours.
is they? So, na enti gergaset Tutsen.
Nah. Who are they? So we have nine. So those upon those who are upon, which are upon.
Yeah.
The foreign land. Yes. All right.
That's right. Those that, let me get out of those that are upon the foreign land. Tutsen.
All right. So, and those who are upon Kemet. No, wait, no, and yours, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're getting there. And yours.
And then there's yours. And we have this non-neti. And yours, and those who are upon Kemet.
That's right. It's just a fancy way of saying they're all yours, because those that are upon the foreign land are yours, and those are yours which are upon Kemet. Why did he switch the syntax around? Probably to just poetically, it sounds better than to say Tutsen twice. But I think that's what's going on here, basically. So, ja, na enti gergaset Tutsen, because as for those which are upon the foreign land, those are yours. Ger tut na enti gerkemet. And yours are those which are in Egypt. I don't know the exact context, but must be something, of course, pleasing to the ruler, right? Some kind of royal propaganda. This one was tricky, so well done, because it had that somewhat rarer possessive construction in there. There's just no other way how to say it, honestly. Is there? I don't think. In later late Egyptian, you can use the independent pronouns in the same function as tut and sut. So you can just use like anok, for example, to say it is mine. That's even later usage. We will probably see some examples of that too.
Cool. Okay.
All right. Well done. Thanks very much, Chris. And I put something on here that's not in niveau just because there could be some confusion. So this ya is not the same as the simple vocative or hail or o particle yeah. Like for example, in ya iti anechojai senep ra nepet. So o sovereign, life, health, prosperity. I guess I messed that up. Life, prosperity, health. Re, the Lord of the Sky. This is just basically, this is an old word that you'll already find in the Middle Egyptian, just to basically address, for example, a deity, or it's almost like a vocative particle. That's different. That has the single reed leaf. It doesn't have an aleph in it, an aleph bird. It looks a little bit similar, though. It looks almost like the first part here. So I thought I'd point that out, that those are two different things. Cool. Any questions on these? If not, let me go on and finish chapter 10 off. So this we just talked about. That's this special possessive pronoun. And then let's have a look at something that may look way more familiar for Middle Egyptian. This one here is familiar to anybody who studied Middle Egyptian. Make, see, or look, or to make it a bit more biblical, behold, or lo, if you wish. Yeah, I would just say, hey, look, or see is probably the best modern translation. Here it's coupled with a negative perfect. We'll talk about that in a moment. But essentially, technically, bupuk, I would just say bepuk, because we know in Coptic that basically becomes something like mpek. You have not. That's how you negate the past tense. So you have not. What have you not? Namely, geme. You have not found, I guess we'd have to say in English, paichat, or paichet if you don't want to add the vowel. So you have not found my silver. Mik, bepek, geme paichat. See, you haven't found my silver, and therefore you should make restitution, or I don't know, whatever, or you should look harder, however the text goes on. This may very well be from Wenamun, although I'm not sure. It could be something else as well. And so this one's familiar for anybody who studied Middle Egyptian. In late Egyptian, you get peter. Peter is another word for to see. So in this case, Ger Peter, this is our good old friend and see. I'm not sure. Does anybody want to take the next one?
I can try, but so that would be Herr Petter Tui, Herr Jed Ta Sud, E D R
Yeah,
Set.
I think that's right. And this.
Mba na Seru.
Mba na Seru. That's right. You got it. Perfect.
So and see me saying the price.
Yes, sooner is the price.
I give towards. I give it in the presence of the official.
Close.
I have paid, I see. Okay.
Right. Let's do this.
Double R. What is that?
That is just eros. That's just a preposition R in the before pronoun. So you could, in Middle Egyptian, how would you do this? I think it would just be RS, if I'm not mistaken. So that's
RS.
Okay.
No reed leaf, right? Like for example, M becomes in, but I think doesn't change. Is just RS, I think. So you could just imagine this to be RS, so to say. Oops. There you go.
Okay. So see and see me upon saying the price that I have paid towards it in the presence of the officials.
I think that's pretty much correct. Let me put it in. So, and look, comma, what did you say? I will tell, I will say.
I have said the price. I have.
Good question.
I'm saying the price.
Yes. I'm saying, or I'm telling you the price, I'm saying the price. Yeah.
Yeah.
The price.
That I have paid towards it in the presence of the official.
Perfect. That's correct. So this one here is a relative. We haven't discussed those yet, but they normally are easy to identify because they have that little extra vowel in front of it, the so-called pathetic yod. So that I have given, which basically means that I have paid. I have paid towards her, meaning for her, whatever her is in this case, and Bach Naseru before the officials. And that's it. Well done. So
A question.
Yes, sir.
Do we know why in late Egyptian these prepositions before pronouns? I've noticed that with hair, you'll see two mouths or two faces. Like, why they double up like that?
I don't think we know. It's fairly consistent. It happens a lot, especially with plural forms, but as you can see here, not exclusively. I have a pet theory just because of how this would be pronounced in Coptic. In Coptic, this would be eros, like this. And I mean, this is like a row down here, right? Like a mouth with a determinative stroke, which would be pronounced ro. So maybe this is just spelled phonetically, eros. It could be. I've not seen that in any book. That's entirely Aurelius' pet theory, and I'm not an expert, so it could be completely wrong. But I think they just basically spelled it the way that they heard it. That's sort of what I'm thinking. But I'm not sure. It may have something to do with the fact that R is often silent, so maybe this is true. That's the other theory that at that point you will find in books. That's essentially to indicate that the R is really pronounced. Because in full disclosure, you also find that double R in words that don't have that A in front. An example would be rime, to weep, or also for fish. You would expect just RM, and then no, that's not it. There you go, something like this. But what they write instead, if I'm not mistaken, they have a double R there. And that one does not become rime or something in Coptic. It would just be rime. So the problem with my explanation is it works very well for the prepositions. It doesn't really work for some of the other cases where they spell it with double R. So honest answer is no, I don't think we know yet.
Cool.
But no, great question. I mean, it's something you see also in the plural forms, like E01 for us, for example, or towards us, would be spelled the same way, just with an N at the end, like this. Oops. Nah. Oh. No, I messed that up pretty good. One separator, like that. Okay. The trickiness of writing in hieroglyphs. Maybe we store the original ones up and send out the slides later. Okay. All right. Any other questions about this one? If not, then we're doing pretty well on time. Let me go to the next one. So we're leaving chapter 10 and enter chapter number 11. Chapter number 11, the first big topic in there is negations, of which Egyptian at first glance has a ton. This may seem confusing initially, just like all the pronouns. After a while, you're getting used to them, and it's really not that bad at all. As a matter of fact, when you think about it, different negations that we use, like Chinese has a ton of them. English, in a way, has some as well. We have special forms. How would I say that? Like we have all these contractions, like don't, isn't, wouldn't, etc., that we use in certain special cases. It's somewhat like that. You have this whole plethora of negations that you use each in their specific use case in late Egyptian. The most common one, and the one I want to talk about today, is bin, becomes in Coptic. That one is used for a ton of different, I would say, quasi-verb forms, because the first present, of course, is an adverbial sentence, I upon hearing. The third future is also technically an adverbial sentence, I towards hearing, like ui something, ui sejem. But essentially later they're the equivalent of verbal sentences in English. And then you also have some bona fide verbal constructions like the sejem f, the prospective sejem f. May I do something, or I will do something. They all get negated with bin. So you just basically slap the bun in front of it and make them negative. So instead of tui hersegem, I'm hearing, it would become bun tui hersegem, I am not hearing. This can be expanded by a little particle spelled out with yuna, yune. In Coptic, it just becomes an. So bun something, something an. A little bit like in French, ne pas or ne plus. This basically becomes a bracket around whatever is being negated. Middle Egyptian has something similar with ne and is, although I'm not sure they're being used exactly the same way. In the book, they are basically put side by side to indicate that that's a similar construction. I'm just not sure they're being used in the same use cases. This one I've seen with nominal sentences, with adjectival sentences, some adverbial, and I'll show you some examples in a moment. Let's see, what else do we have? There's another negation, bu, spelled like this, just spelled out phonetically. This is, for example, being used with a negative aorist. That's a form that we had implicitly, but we haven't really discussed yet. It comes much later in the book. But essentially what you do in the negative aorist, you're indicating that something never happens. This is the example sentence we had. Bu irten deny naked. And that was in the chapter on the indefinite, like all, any, nothing. That's where we had this one. Bu irten deny naked. You never give me anything. And you'd see this one is not being negated with bun. This one is being negated with bu. It's not the only place. It's also, for example, used in a construction to indicate not yet. But I would say it's not as common as bun in late Egyptian. Let's see, what else can I tell you? There's tam, which those of you who have studied Middle Egyptian or Coptic will recognize. It's being used to negate infinitives. So they don't take bun, they don't take bu either. They take this old negative particle. It still lives on as term in Coptic, no big surprises here. It can also be used with the perspective for some constructions. So it's not completely in the bun camp. It can also be negated with term, depending on what the sentence looks like. This guy we've just discussed, there is Bepui, or Bepi, becomes MP in Coptic. This is definitely a late Egyptian animal. You're not going to see that, I think, in earlier forms. And that negates the perfect. So if you have like a perfective segem F, that's what the negative form would be. You can't just take the perfective segem F and slap a bun in front of it. That would not be grammatical. You have to use this this prefix instead, and it gets conjugated. So would be bepef for him, bepes for her, bepi for I, etc. And that again lives on just like that in Coptic. And if the sentence you want to negate would have a stative in it, you also use this to negate it. No, you don't slap that in front of the stative, but basically you replace the stative by the negative perfect construction. We'll cover that eventually, but I wanted to have it on the map already. Two other cases, just for completeness sake. If you have an imperative, in English we use don't. Don't do that. Well, in Egyptian they do something similar. They use emiri. Emiri, do not make, do not do. This M is an old negative particle from really old Egyptian. So emiri later becomes like impir, should be imir, but there's like an intrusive P in Coptic. So emiri, impir, is the negative imperative. Emiri segem, don't listen. And then finally, we also have a negative word, like a word for negative existence. When is there is. I don't know, there's a house, there is a country, there's whatever. If you want to say there isn't, you use mun. It's spelled in a rather complicated fashion. M and the ein, hand, n, and then the negative indicator here. Is the hiri always there? Let me check that real quick. Not sure, it doesn't feel completely right. No, I mean, okay. Oh, here's some examples with the I in there. But you can also just have the bad bird in there. And you see how that's being used. It's basically, this is a good one. Let's take this one because that's our ja particle from a moment ago. You can use it also to emphasize assertions. Did I say that? I guess I didn't. Well, in any case, in this case, it just basically means truly or indeed. Eman emdik, not is there with you yet a father. In other words, you don't have a father. Ja men emdik yet. So this one basically means there is not. You use that also to form the negative version of the verb to have, which is built from when, to be there, plus the preposition md, with. So when emdik yat would be you have a father. Men emdik yat is you don't have a father. You don't have to remember all these right now. Today we only.
I know.
Yes, sir. Yes, Chris.
Can you go back to Ramesses outline again?
Sure, of course. Hang on.
I know they don't label it as a.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Label it as a double negative, but isn't that kind of almost like a double negative?
This one here.
The MD.
Oh no! That's a good question.
No, the MD, because MD also has like not to give. I mean, I know it's a connector here, but it's kind of like I would say it's kind of almost like a double negative.
It isn't. It isn't. Although I see why you would say that. The MD is just another preposition. It means with. So even though it is spelled as that, it looks like not give, but it's just spelled
like an Egyptian. Mm-hmm. That's why I said it though.
Right. No. This is just a late Egyptian version of the word with.
Right.
There are three words for with in late Egyptian. One is the good old chena, which I think is going to be very familiar. Chena. This one. That's what you also have in Middle Egyptian with.
Right.
And then you have MD, which is newer. Oops. Great. Let's try it this way.
Like it's like in your hand.
Yeah, something like that.
Right?
That may be.
Mm-hmm.
That may be. I think there's also an older preposition, mjer. I'm not sure if it's related to that. And then there is then there's this puppy here, which later becomes nim in Coptic. They have slightly different use cases. In the verb to have, it's always MD. When MD, and then whoever has something when exists, MD with, and then the person who this thing exists with. And that's basically their way of saying somebody has something. Something exists with somebody. You can't do that with Rena or with Irm or Erm. So really good question. Thanks for pointing that out.
Right.
Because that spelling is confusing, like you said. It looks like a negative. Okie doke. I would say for the moment, just focus on the bun, but just be aware that all these other ones exist for like sentence composition, so to say. It depends on what kind of sentence you're looking at, which negation is going to be used. Conversely, that which negation is being used also then, of course, tells you what kind of a sentence it is. So there's also a benefit to it. It's not just a complication. What you will notice is the good nun and n from earlier times, they are basically absent. So, oops, this thing. That's the classical language. These two things. You will see them, especially like in earlier literary texts, where essentially the classicism. You're writing that in lieu of the late Egyptian equivalent. So in earlier texts, you will find them, but eventually they go away. Also, the question particle in can be written with this. So you will see this in place of the question particle. It looks like a negation, but it isn't. That's going to come up soon.
Do we know which of these is the descendant of Nen, or how it happened that there are so many different ones? Because classical Egyptian, unless I'm very much mistaken, has only 2, maybe, I'm not sure for the imperative, but like that's a lot of negations as opposed to Middle Egyptian. So do we know how nen, which you can use for a lot of these, like how it's split up like this? Which one of these is the descendant of nen or en?
Maybe the answer is we know, but I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. It's a great question. I've wondered about that too, but I'm not exactly sure how that happens in the background.
I didn't have anything about that either.
No, unfortunately not. Maybe I'm not sure if Ehrman has anything in his old late Egyptian grammar. Maybe Cherney. Would need to check. I honestly don't know.
Ehrman or Cherney? Okay, I'll have a look.
Would be an interesting question. I mean, Term is there before. That one's old.
Term was there before, yes.
That is old.
I mean,
this one?
No, you can say enun, nenun in Middle Egyptian.
No,
I don't know I don't know for sure it doesn't exist, but you definitely don't need it. You can deny existence with the normal nen.
That's right. That's exactly it, right? That's how you would use nen. You're right. You would just write nen. Good point. So yeah, no,
exactly. Then depending what comes afterwards, you don't even need the un in Middle Egyptian. It kind of functions as a negation on its own in some cases. I don't remember which ones.
Yeah, like there is not his refuge or something. Like there's no refuge for the evildoer. You would just put something, right?
Yeah.
It's coming back to me. So basically this one is good. This one is good. This is new. This is new. And these 2 guys are essentially new. But how that exactly happens, I'm not completely sure.
I mean, nen to men I can see, but nen to ben, where does that B come from?
Not sure.
I guess once you have men, you can go to ben.
Maybe. I mean, there is a bit of a BM confusion going on in late Egyptian. So I wonder if it has something to do with that.
And there is an MN confusion going on as well.
Correct. So maybe somewhere this big mix-up of MNs and Bs possible.
That happened.
Maybe.
Okay, I'm on a journey. I see if I have them or if I can get my hands on them.
If you find something, please post it in the channel
Will do.
for the course. This one I do know that Zatzinger has something on that. He basically breaks that down as essentially the same bu as here, the B. That's why he transcribes that as B and then PY. This here he has as a verb to have done in the past. So not to have done in the past. So that would be something like didn't in English, basically. Just with a not in front instead of at the end. So not did not, but not did, so to say. But I don't know what that pa having done in the past is that he describes. My Middle Egyptian vocabulary is definitely not good enough for that. So, but I remember seeing that. So maybe that's really like didn't. These guys, yeah, if you find anything, please let us know.
How do we distinguish tem from the verb tem? Isn't that a verb there to complete or to fulfill something?
Yeah, it means the same.
It is. You're right.
Yep, it's the same. Terminate, complete.
I would say by virtue of an infinitive coming after. That's really it. I mean, let's take a look at some examples. Oops. So, for example, paterm irek tarempet. So let's break that down. We don't know what the term is yet. The term so basically coming, and then we have this thing here is irek. That is a relative that you have done. So basically it's iri, the verb to do, but with that extra pathetic yod in front of it. So that makes it into a relative. And the K at the end tells you who the doer is in the relative. So irik, that you have done. The coming that you have done, tarampet, that you have done this year. and then you have a term in front of it. I mean, how do I put that? This has to be an infinitive because it's followed by a relative that can only refer to a noun. So this must be a nominal form. And then you have a term in front of it. That would make you think, well, a term in front of an infinitive must be the negation particle. That's how I would go about it. Let's see if there are more examples. Term ak. Term ak. Goed netched. To not go into the temple. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I don't know if we have the complete somewhere. Let's take a look at that. If there's any. Well, this is all complete in English. That didn't help. Mosquito, sorry. Complete.
I think in Middle Egyptian, when you want to say complete as a verb, they normally just use can. Right?
What do you have to use?
I thought Tim. No, I was saying in Middle Egyptian, if you want to say complete, like you're reading things about mathematics, math or something like that, I think the word kim is used to mean just complete or finished.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I've never seen them used, just as like a verb by itself to mean complete. And I think Alan, he chats about Tim being used, and he talks about the god Itemu, the complete one, or the one who is finished, something like.
Right. Isn't Tem also? I thought that lives on somewhere in Arabic. But yeah, no, I'm not going to go on a bunny right now.
Is it to do with perfect? I've just got some vague memory. So perfection, complete.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's just a vague memory of something that I looked at, but it could be completely wrong. So we translated it as complete, but it might be
Middle Egyptian, yeah.
Yeah.
So it reached its fulfillment.
Perfect.
Right. I mean, so term basically is fulfill complete. And I thought something, yeah. Wait, okay, all right. Since we are on a bunny ride, we might as well. After all, that's a tradition that, oops. Time and a tradition, right? Wiktionary. Okay. Well, that works.
That looks like it.
That's the term here, totality. And it is tamam, supposedly. And tam, to be complete, finished. Maybe that's the one that you're thinking of from Hebrew.
Yeah, might be.
I was thinking of tamam. I was a little bit careful to mention that because I was thinking like, wait, but okay, it's just a reduplicated second consonant, so that sort of fits. So those are the roots. Funny. That's something else in Chinese. Yeah, it means to complete, it means to finish, and then it has this other meaning, to not, in infinitives. If those two have anything to do with each other, I kind of doubt it. I don't see any link between meanings 1 and 2 and the third meaning. I think it may just be that they happen to sound the same. But this could very well be related to the name of the god Atum, maybe. The complete one or something like that. That would make some sense. And here he is, the god Atum. So that would make some sense in my mind. Well, I think we covered this one. So this one's old. And I just think I found some examples where... No. Here's one for completion. Okay, I don't understand the sentence. That's some kind of religious formula. I'll take the one on top, maybe. Oh, it's also a religious formula. To me,
Just out of interest, can you put the word perfect in your kind of search engine, or English word perfect, and see what comes up?
Sure thing. In this case, just to finish this up, so here tem is being used as a verb to be complete, and it has a suffix pronoun after it. So you see that that's not the infinitive marker or the negative infinitive marker. Here, I don't know, but here it's not being followed by an infinitive. So that clearly is also not the negative infinitive marker. So it has to be the verb to complete. Now for parfait. Menig comes to mind. Never. Tut. Okay. I would have added Iker maybe to the list as well that we've talked about before. Well, that merely means excellent. I don't think tem is being used in that sense in Egyptian, at least not in late Egyptian. Or, well, être complet, being complete, I guess. Not the exact same thing as perfect, I guess. Arguably, if you're complete, that is perfectum, right? I'll leave it there. I hope that helps a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say that god Osiris, sometimes he's likened as the one who's being complete because he's the most dead one. So he's like them. Oh, that's kind of another connotation I've heard it used too.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that.
Yeah, to be dead is to be complete. So Osiris would be the perfected one because he's the most dead. But wow, I know it sounds weird, right? The most dead.
Love that. Love it. Okay.
A zombie conference.
I had the same thing in my head, like, okay, the most dead. Okie doke. Well, let's take a quick look.
Halloween. We've got Halloween coming up, haven't we? So
we do. It's actually already in full swing. It's become a month-long festival now in the US. Because why not? We've been doing that with Christmas as well. So cool. I would say maybe we attack these the next time. Basically, this is a whole bunch of sentences with the bun in it. I thought let's get used to this one, especially with the Yuna. If you like, we can, I don't know, do like one or two of them before we sign off for today.
If you want,
go ahead.
I was gonna say real quick, if y'all want to read about it, in James P. Allen's book, the third edition, look at page 192, and he goes into the negative complement them a little bit. And he also, and then 1815.
Which page was it?
Page 192, 13.16. And then he 1815. I know, I thought I read that somewhere. Let me see, 1815. 13.16. Yep, right there. It means to fail and all those kind of things. And then 13.
There we go.
Yeah, finish, fail, not to be, not to do. Negative complement.
Very Shakespearean. Very Shakespearean. To be or not to be. To die or not to die.
There you go. Indeed. Temud emwechem. Emwechem is again anew. So temud emwechem. To not die again. Yep. I think one thing that's different is in Middle Egyptian, I think you can conjugate the tem, if I'm not mistaken. I think that can get a personal ending. Do you remember which page that's on?
There are versions where you have temet. You have tem with a dot T at the end. Yeah.
And do you have an example for that somewhere?
Here.
I know it exists, but let's see, Temet, you said, right?
Mm-hmm. TM.T, I've seen it used like that. What verb form is that? It's okay.
Okay, this is one here, for example. Achain Jenny Enes. And then I said Nes to her, Temit Chen Hermi. You're not rowing is because of what? Upon what? Now, this is entirely Middle Egyptian. So for Late Egyptian, we'd have to change a few things. We cannot use the Sejum N form anymore because that basically doesn't happen anymore. So if it weren't with an N, honestly, with an N, what would you do? What would you do? Would that be N Jedi? I have to look it up. I'm not completely sure how that works when you throw those two things together. But basically, this has to be replaced by a late Egyptian equivalent. And then this Temet, you're not rowing. Shen is to row. I don't think you can do that anymore in late Egyptian. I don't think you can put like a so, for example, in late Egyptian, if you wanted to say, what is it with your not rowing? It would literally be our construction from a moment ago. Ja ich paye, because it's speaking to a woman. So it would be it wouldn't be paik, but paye. Paye tem shen, I guess. What is it with you not rowing? I think that's how you would say it. In late Egyptian, you can do it. In Middle Egyptian, you can do it completely differently. Temet shen kharmi. You're not rowing upon what? Why are you not rowing? Kind of cool.
Sentence.
All right, guys. I would say let's leave it at that for today. Continue with the negations next time. I'll send this out, and I think next time we'll also manage to get some of the interrogation in there, the interrogative, the question particles. So I would say let's continue there in 2 weeks.
For the slide with the ya'i, could you write in the meaning that we were using? I don't know if it was it was there. We said it several times, but I don't think we wrote it in. To go back to the slide with ich and ya.
Yeah, I'll put that in. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Will do. And maybe I'll add the one example that we had in the Ver that wasn't really covered because I had only put in reinforced questions and give a reason. But honestly, when we look in the Ver, there was another one there that was essentially just, oh yeah, it was the you don't have a father or something, wasn't it? It was just making an assertion. So I'll add that.
Cool.
Very good. Well, thanks everybody for joining.
Enjoy the Caribbean.
Bye.
Enjoy the Caribbean.
I will.
Other side.
Cool.